Hey everybody. Today we are talking about optimizing your social media. This is part of our series called the Optimizing series, and I'm excited to talk about your social media because it's a really important part of your social media strategy, so stick around. You're listening to Marketing Tips with Meliss podcast.
Welcome to Marketing Tips with Meliss podcast. And now your host, Meliss-Ep.
So before we begin, I want to start off by giving you the definition of optimize. To optimize is to make as perfect or effective as possible, to make the most of. And when it comes to your social media, we want to make sure that you are making the most of your social media because that's where we learn what we can improve on. And that's what this is all about, making as perfect or effective as possible, which means we have to keep improving on it. And it doesn't happen overnight, and there is no such thing as perfection. So it's a constant journey. So if you haven't heard the other optimizing podcast episodes in this series, I highly recommend you go back and you listen to that, because if you go through the entire series, you will have an up level. And that's what we're looking for. So let's talk about optimizing your social media. Now, the first thing I want you to understand is that all of this data is available to you and it's free most of the time. So first, you need to go into each and every social media platform that you have, and we're going to grab some of that information so we can assess the situation. Now, before we do that, step one, what I want you to do is get out a piece of paper and a pen and write down where you have a presence. Do you have a Facebook business page? Do you have a presence on your Facebook personal page? What about in a Facebook group? Anywhere else? Do you have more than one Facebook profile? Do you have several business pages? What about Instagram? Are you on Instagram? Do you have a personal account? Do you have a business account? Do you have several accounts? And I want you to write down every single place where you are present. That's how we're going to begin optimizing your social media, is by just making a neat list of, or not so neat list, of where you actually have a presence so we know where we need to optimize. So that's step one. Step two is within each and every one of these platforms, you have the ability to search your analytics, your insights, your data. And when we get data, we get informed insight as to what the situation currently is. Now, if you capture your data once, it's not really going to help you. But if you make it a habit to capture your data again and again and again, what happens is over time, you have patterns that you see and recognize and can make changes and decisions based off of that. So I want you to go into each and every one of those platforms and find out where you get that data. So an example of some of the types of data we want to capture are engagement. Tell us what profiles you're on and what is the engagement like on each and every one of those profiles. Also, how many times have you posted? How many times did you post on Facebook in your group? How many times did you post on your business page? How many times did you post on LinkedIn? How many times did you post on YouTube? That's important information, because if you don't post a lot and you don't have a lot of engagement, that might be the reason why you don't have a lot of engagement. If you post a lot and you don't have a lot of engagement, now we can assess, well, maybe what you're posting is not what your audience wants to hear, because maybe you're targeting the wrong audience. So we get a lot of information by recording our data. In some platforms and in some cases, depending on if you have a business account or a personal account, you might be able to get more information. For example, how many people visited certain parts of your social media page, or how many people clicked, how many impressions did you get? All of these are really good and important questions. Of course, we also want to know your demographic, the gender, the age, the location. How many profile visits did you get? How many people tapped and went to a website? Which were your top stories? Which content performed the best? These are the types of things that you want to capture, and you want to do it on every single one of your platforms. Okay, so that was, I think, step two. We're going to the next step, and that is to run a SWOT analysis. Now, a SWOT analysis is something very common that people do in marketing, in a marketing agency. It is a way to assess the data, and that's how you can optimize that you're doing everything properly. So SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And before you make a decision, you want to sit down and figure out in a chart, which is like a quadrant, what each of these things are. Strengths go in one quadrant, weaknesses go in another, opportunities and threats in the last two. And then you can look at this chart that you've made and make an informed decision. So let's talk about strengths. Which social media platforms do you have the strongest presence on? Or do you feel most comfortable being on? Or maybe just which social media platforms are you on? Basically, where is your audience? Where is your active audience? That's where I want you to figure out. And so that would be a strength because you want to go where your active audience is. Other questions you can ask are, which social media posts performed the best? Because the answer is that's our strength. That type of social media post or that time of day that we posted it performed the best. So we're trying to figure out our strengths. Think about what sets you apart from the crowd. How can you be a big fish in a small pond? What about your social media strategy is different from everyone else that you see? Because if you want your content to be a showstopper, then you have to stand out from all the other content that's floating around. Now, when it comes to weaknesses, we're talking about which platforms do you not feel as comfortable on? Or maybe you don't have a presence on. Maybe you have a presence, but you don't have good engagement. That would be a weakness. Maybe searching for the hashtag that works best for your industry or being able to know what keywords you want to use when talking about what it is you do might be a weakness if you don't know that, if you're not good with SEO or you're not great with hashtags. Other weaknesses can be things that you've tried that didn't bring in the money or the revenue that you thought it would, or maybe posts that you posted that didn't get the interaction that you were hoping for. That would be a weakness.
Luck doesn't exist. What you believe about your business is what you will attract. How you feel about receiving money through your services is going to directly influence your sales. Join me for my new program, Client Abundance, where I will teach you how to attract an abundance of new clients. We will be using energy and alignment, as well as practical marketing strategy to get you what you want. abundantstrategy.com/clients.
Okay, then we move to opportunities. When it comes to opportunities, you have an opportunity for growth. If you have information from your dream clients, for example, you posted a poll in a group and you got a lot of response, so you know what they're looking for, you know how they feel. Maybe you've read a lot of comments underneath a post. Maybe when someone joins your group, you ask them, what are they struggling with? And you have a whole list right there. All of that data is your customers, your potential customers, your dream clients telling you, this is what we want, this is what we need, and that is an opportunity for you to go out and create that. Other ways that you can have opportunities are bringing people into your world. Are you doing a good job with your lead generation? Are people coming in constantly into your world? That's an important piece of this marketing puzzle. And we know that the marketing we do today is the sales that we have tomorrow. So if you want to make money in your business, that's the sales. You have to be visible. That's the marketing. And so there's the opportunity for growth. Another opportunity is to just be aware of what's around you, the newest trends in social media, maybe what your competitors are doing that's working really well, anything that you see is working and getting engagement and sparking interest, adapt and see if there's some things that you have the opportunity to change, shift, increase, or improve on in your own business. And then we move to threats. Now, threats can be out of your control, and most of the times they are out of your control, but being able to acknowledge that threats are still present and being able to set expectations that make sense and are realistic go a long way. Because as a business owner, if you're not setting realistic expectations, or you're not taking into account that things can change very quickly. For example, the economy can change very quickly, as we've learned in a pandemic, and that could negatively impact your business. Those things are out of your control, but you still need to be able to process what would happen if it went that way or this way, and be able to have that realistic expectation so you don't just, go under with the tide. So Let's talk about these threats. The first thing could be your competitors. Again, bringing in competitors. A threat could be that someone is doing something that you do incredibly well and targeting the same audience. That might affect you negatively. If you guys have the same niche and you're hanging out in the same place and you serve the same types of people with the same types of problems, doing the same types of things, and you guys are putting out the same exact thing in the same market, it's going to be hard, right? You've got to set yourself out from the crowd. So a potential threat could be that competitors are doing what you do better, for example. Another threat could be that algorithms are always changing. So at one point, having a Facebook business page was an excellent way to have wonderful engagement and everyone saw your business pages. Well, then the algorithm changed and now it's pay to play. Nobody sees business pages anymore, like literally at all, unless you've put ad spend budget behind it. So that algorithm changed. Now, if you set up an entire marketing strategy based on your business page being free and the algorithm changed and now you need to put money in, that's a potential threat. Just knowing that things can shift and change and you are aware and ready for them. So let's recap how we optimize our social media. First, we make a list of where we are visible and where we have a presence. Then we go in and we look for the insights, the data, the analytics for each and every one of these, and we record these again and again over time, whether it's once a week or once a month. You want to go in and create a pattern over time. And then you want to draw a vertical line and a horizontal line so you have 4 quadrants. And in each quadrant, you want to put SWOT, strengths, in the second quadrant, weakness, in the third quadrant, opportunity, and in the last quadrant, threat. And then I want you to sit and think about the audience insights over time with all the data that you've created. What is the strength? What is the weakness? Where is the opportunity? And what are the threats? And if you can do that, you can assess how you can improve, what we need to avoid going towards, what we need to do more of. And that's how you optimize your social media. Now, a key indicator here that this is going to work is if you have that data. And the only way to have that data is for you to show up and be consistent. So if you are very willy-nilly about showing up, your data is going to reflect that. And that data is not going to really give you enough information to make informed decisions. So be consistent and show up, and then keep track of your data on a consistent basis so you can go back and look at things. As soon as I started tracking data and keeping a good eye on things, I was able to go back over time, and now we have years and years worth of data. So when I first started, I might have only had a week's worth of data. So the second week, I could only improve based off 1 week. But then I had months worth of data, and I was able to improve based on looking back at 6 months, for example. Now I have years worth of data. I could look back and I could say, what were we doing this time last year? What were we doing this time 2 years ago? Was there an improvement from this time 2 years ago to this time last year? What is the percentage of that improvement, for example? Maybe we improved by 25%. Now, what about last year to this year? Are we going to improve again by 25%? And so it really gives you a deep insight into your own business. And when you have deep insight into your own business, you have a better chance of improving your business, because now you have information to go off of to make great decisions. So that's how we optimize your social media. And I hope you found this helpful. Come back for our last episode in our optimizing series next time, and I'll talk to you soon.
How you feel about receiving money through your services is going to directly influence your sales. Join me for my new program, Client Abundance. It's all about expanding your business by energetically and strategically getting more clients. Guided by energy and alignment, as well as practical strategy behind putting what you need in place to attract abundance, Client Abundance is a live program delivered over 4 weeks for coaches and healers. We start next week. Get yourself registered at abundantstrategy.com/clients. See you there.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Tips with Meliss podcast at www.marketingtipswithmeliss.com.
Hey coaches and healers, it's time to feel supported in your business. Head on over to our free community to get access to my best resources for free. I'm talking marketing tips, business strategy,
feedback, and so much more. Join now at magneticmarketingmastermind.com. See you there.